Good evening and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday. I'm running a few minutes late tonight, but we are surviving this snow week here in DC. We have had about 10 inches where I am, and my kids have had the time of their lives running and leaping and playing in the snow. I hope that you guys are doing a little bit better than me because it feels like I've had a house full for more than a month, but we're here. And school went back today. I have heard that we are going to be expecting more snow this weekend, and baby mama is not okay with that, but I'm also not in control of that. So I'm here to talk to you tonight about how to have peace no matter what, right? So happy new year, happy new year. I was here last week, but it feels good to be in 2025. And I did not think that I would be saying that at any point. I really did not think that, I would have any anticipation for the new year. And I'm not going to lie, there was no anticipation. But now that I'm here, I'm glad and grateful to be here. And I hope that you are too, because, as the old folks say, there were many who didn't make it. And I'm glad that I was one of the ones that did. So, if this is your first time catching one of my lives, my name is Naomi. I go by the How To Chick, but I'm a child of God, a wife, a mom, an attorney, a coach, a mentor, a speaker. But most importantly, I believe that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And you have to choose wisely. I come on Wednesdays around 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time most weeks just to talk a little bit about life, a little bit about love, a little bit about relationships. Most importantly, the relationship that we have with God, with ourselves, because those relationships most affect the way that we show up in the world and therefore the relationships that we have with other people, right? And I wanted to talk about peace because I am in the throes of several wonderful New Year initiatives. If you guys know anything about me, you know I'm unapologetically a God girl because my entire life has been based around a knowledge and understanding of who God is and his goodness in my life. So that's what I got to talk about, honey. If that's not what you believe in, we got some practicality in here too. And I believe that those things got to work hand in hand. And tonight I'm here to talk about peace because I was on a prayer call this evening and I could feel the anxiety radiating off of people. For those of you who follow the news, you may have been listening to what is going on. You may have heard about, the statements that were made by the president elect. You may be mortified, embarrassed, afraid, overwhelmed, anxious. I tend to read the post notes when it comes to what he says. I can't sit there and listen to it myself personally, but I did hear about it and I have seen many responses to it. And a lot of people are feeling anxious, overwhelmed, afraid. Those of us who have children of a certain age are worried about selective service and the draft and all of those things because we know where we live and we live in reality. But as I was sitting on the call, the word that I got was not that we have to strive or fight or focus on how to get through this season. It was that we have to find and get ourselves to center and to peace in this season. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm a skater. My husband's a really good skater. I've been skating since I was a kid. I won't say I'm a really good skater, but I'm not going to fall down. I'm not doing tricks. I'm not one of those, Chicago skaters, hand in hand, linking up, doing all the tricks, smooth. I'm not smooth with it, but I can skate. I can skate pretty well. And over the holiday break, my nieces and nephews came to visit, and we took them all ice skating for the first time. And I was struggling around the rink with my little 4-year-old niece, and I kept telling her, I said, bend your knees, find your center. And I don't know why I said that, because what 4-year-old knows what their center is, right? And I'm demonstrating. I got in front of her and I held her hand and I bent my knees a little bit and I kind of straightened my core so she could see me holding my stomach. And I said, find your center and you'll stay up. She went around 4 or 5 times. She didn't fall down, not one time. She was a quick steady. And I know when you're lower to the ground, it's a little bit easier, but finding your center is the secret to peace in the middle of the storm. And today, when I was journaling about what to even focus on right now, because for many of us, the season has just been a never ending space where we have dealt with delusionment, disappointment, grief. Some of us are in despair in certain circumstances in our life that we have been praying and crying about. And I got this wonderful devotional, and y'all, I am not sponsored. This is not paid, but I was gifted this beautiful devotional called A Journey with Jesus. And I started doing it. And what I recognized is that a lot of my focus, a lot of the desire that I've had for peace has been based off of trying to control the circumstances around me, right? I don't want to live in such and such a place because I want to have a shorter commute so that I can have more time to do the things that are important to me. I don't want my kids to have to go to such and such a school because I don't want to drive that far, or I don't want to deal with, the violence or the lack of teaching or the low test scores. And this, like, a lot of times we're searching for peace on a spreadsheet. We're trying to, and I am not saying that there's anything wrong with this, because I'm really talking to myself. We're trying to engineer our lives to have the least amount of discomfort. And so when the things come that knock us under, the job losses, the death, the divorce, the affairs, the bankruptcy, the financial infidelity, the job closing its doors, whatever the case may be, whatever it is, when those things come, it's very shocking to people who are planners, right? Because we plan for contingencies, right? It's a lot easier to handle something when you've started noticing the balance sheets are a little off and bonuses got a little short the last 2 years. So you have updated your resume, right? And you've already been interviewing. But when everything seems to be going just right, and I've had a couple of friends where this has happened, where, and I'm not even talking about job losses or divorces, everything seems to be going well. Y'all just celebrated your anniversary. You went on a vacation and you come back and the rug is swept out from under you because you found out he's cheating accidentally. Your company just gave out 5-figure bonuses to everyone, had a banner year, and now they closed their doors on January 2nd. When the rug is swept out from under you, your parent who was in excellent health, had never had any challenges. You got off the phone with them 2 hours ago, and now all of a sudden someone's calling you and telling you that that person has not been able to be awakened, and they don't wake up. When life throws things at us that we cannot handle, the purpose of peace is to remember that the things that we cannot control are the opportunities to experience God's peace in our lives. Now, it doesn't mean God's peace doesn't mean that there won't also be grief, that there also won't be pain, that there also won't be anger or frustration. See, grief has cycles and it has spaces and places that it will take us. And so when we find ourselves in a space where we have suffered loss, a loss of identity, a loss of purpose, a loss of place, a loss of a person, we are going to deal with grief. But in order to have peace, even in the midst of grief, in order to do it, the one thing that we have to recognize is that God is not calling us to a peace that is contingent on our circumstances. He is calling us to a peace that is contingent only on our firm belief that He will never leave us or forsake us. I've talked about Jeremiah 17 before, but I'll just say it again. Jeremiah said, all of my hope, all of my faith, and all of my confidence is in God. So when the world around us starts shaking and when things feel like they're being snatched away, our reaction to that should give us a solid inventory of what our spiritual walk, should we have one, look like. What does your peace practice look like? Are you able to say, all of my faith, all of my hope, all of my confidence is in God, if you believe that? Are you able to say, if you don't believe in God, that I can only control the things that are within my control, and believe that? Because grief hits a little bit differently When we spend our time wondering, what if, how could we have missed? Why did I not see this coming? Why did I not just do X, Y, and Z? And peace, no matter what, allows us to go through whatever circumstance we go through with knowledge and full assurance that God is with us and that we have done what we can and what we should have done in that circumstance. And I journaled this for, I don't know, probably 10 pages today, because choosing to believe that even in the worst, the most painful, the most difficult, the most despair inducing circumstances, that we have a choice on where we focus our attention. That's hard for people. That's hard for me. It's hard when you wake up and you're feeling the loss of that person. It's hard when you get another rejection for a job. It's hard when you have to deal with the realities of your financial situation or your relationships. It's hard to not look at that and see that as being the big thing in your life right now, whatever the thing is. I found myself waking up out of bed in dreams about certain situations that were going on in my life, and I was like, God, I don't like waking up like this. If you've ever been jolted from bed with the thought that, a bill is not going to get, didn't get paid, or is not going to get paid, or what are you going to do for a place to live now that your relationship is ending, or you have lost that job. If you've ever woken up in a cold sweat worrying about a child, then you understand what I'm saying. And that is, when you're in a storm, sometimes it's hard to see anything but what's swirling around you. But God said, peace I give unto you. My peace I leave with you, not as the world sees or understands or believes in peace. And he also reminds us that we have to look to him even in the middle of our storms. And we can say that all day. We can sing about it and we can testify it, but we don't do it. We wake up and the first thing we do is check our bank accounts, check our social media, check our text messages, go into our work email. We wake up with the thought of what else is going to happen today, of waiting for the other shoe to drop, and not waking up, focusing our heart, our mind, and our intention on the one who has promised to give us peace and to never leave us. And so I want to encourage each one of you as we go into 2025, because everyone that I know personally is in a storm. And if you've ever listened to the preachers, all of them say it. Either you're going through a storm, you're coming out of a storm, or you're getting ready to go into a storm. So this word, no matter where you are, is for you. Your storm, no matter where it is, should not be your focus. You can plan and you can prepare. You can spend your time creating contingency plans and saving money, but there is always going to be something that forces you to change your focus. And so I want to encourage you that when everything is swirling and it doesn't feel like there's any way out, that's the perfect time to shift all of your hope, all of your faith, and all of your confidence to the one who gives peace. That is the perfect time to decide, no matter my lot, thou hast called me to say, it is well with my soul. And that is the time where it is imperative that we focus on God, that we give him all of our hope, that we give him all of our trust, that we praise him. The Lord has, and I think I told you guys this last week, the Lord has me on this thing where I'm praying, and I'm praying out of stress and frustration, because God and I, we have kind of an open dialogue and we talk all day long about things. And I'll be like, Lord, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this right now. This is this and this and this is going on. And I already have this and that. Lord, I'm asking that you would deal with this. And he's like, I need you to praise me. I need you to give me thanks for something that I have done for you this week. I need you to focus your energies on me and who I am and not you and what you're going through. And I can promise you guys, listen, it's hard, but it's fair. Because when you do that, it shifts your heart posture from a place of anxiety and fear to a place of surrender and trust. And that's the place that we need to be. So I've told you this before. I think we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Get your playlist ready. Get ready to praise. Get out your prayer journal. Look back over the things that God has done for you and choose to give him praise. Because if you want to stay in a place of peace, you have to focus on the peace giver. And so I'm going to leave you with my testimony this evening about how good God has been to me. And that is just to say this. So maybe Christmas, December 24th, my mom was coming up to visit me and she was bringing my nieces and nephews, and they were all flying and they had never all flown together. It was a big deal. And my mom gets them tickets on a budget airline that shall not be named. And they all had to come with their little backpacks. She had, sent some stuff up the road. She had come up earlier and brought some stuff for them so that they would have stuff when they were here. And I had some stuff for them. And we were like, yes, we're going to fly this budget airline. They just need a backpack, get to the airport and get on the plane. This is going to be great. I get a call at around 6:45. We missed our flight. Now, y'all, this is a budget airline. These budget airlines are not quite as generous as your major carriers, and they don't do that. I missed my flight, so now we're going to go ahead and move you to the next flight. No, they told her that it would be $1,674 to rebook the ticket, and if the ticket was not rebooked, there would be no return itinerary. She would not be able to get back. And so she's calling and she's telling me this. And I said, oh, this is not going to do. And immediately I knew there's nothing I can do about this. This is a budget carrier. They do what they do. Their policies are apparently posted somewhere. And there's nothing I could do about this. And so I got my husband and we got our children and we prayed. We just asked God to intervene in the situation. And we didn't do this for us. And we didn't necessarily just do it for them. We did it because we needed to show and demonstrate an example of peace in the storm to our children. And so we prayed, and I got on the line with the customer service rep. And long story short, 45 minutes later, they were on a flight because God is who he says he is. He is a peace giver. He is a waymaker. He is a healer. He is a provider. He is a protector. He is everything. But when we focus on what we don't have instead of what we do have, because our life with God is very much like a glass half empty, glass half full situation. My husband loves to say, if you have, something about, even if you don't have anything you need, if you have God, you have everything you need. And I just want to encourage you that you can have peace no matter who the president is. You can have peace no matter who your boss is. You can have peace no matter what's going on in your finances. You can have peace even in the throes of deep grief. You can have peace even when you're unemployed. You can have peace when the month is longer than your money. You can have peace. In order to have peace, your focus and all of your hope, all of your faith, and all of your confidence must be in the peace giver. It's 2025, and I want to encourage you to explore those concepts for yourself, to take some time to look at where your focus is. And you can tell where your focus is by what the first thing you think about is in the morning and the last thing you think about at night. You can tell where your focus is based on the tenor of your prayers. Are you praying prayers of gratitude and thanksgiving, or are you praying prayers of fear and anxiety and overwhelm? You can tell where your focus is. And once you know, it's time to make a conscious shift to a focus on the peace giver. 2025 doesn't promise to be any easier than 2024 or any year that came before it. But I promise you that you can have peace no matter what. Remember, you can do anything, but you cannot do everything, and you have to choose wisely. For me, that means letting God do the choosing. Have a good evening, and I'll see you next week for Wisdom Wednesday. Good night.